Welcome back, folks. My name is LastKnownMeal, and today we're going to be talking about Cyberpunk 2077. So a lot of people ask me if this is actually CDPR way of redemption, if Cyberpunk 2077 is entering a redemption arc overall, where the public image of the game and the company is going to be fixed, and also, the game itself. Now, first off, we have to take a look at some of the things which were happening before, since the release of Cyberpunk 2077 and throughout like this 1.5 year that the game has been out. First off, if we do remember the actual release of the game, we know how bad it was. Generally, the game was having a lot of issues, and then the PC version I was playing on, for example, and reviewing, was the most stable one. But if we go back to 0.1 version for consoles, especially for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, the game wasn't functioning so well. There is no denying that. And of course, this whole release tarnished the image of CDPR. And actually, there was a video I released a few years back. Why does the gaming community respect CD Projekt Red? And that video hasn't aged too well, but at the same time it kinda did, because of some of the things I said in the end, basically, where I said that each mistake that CDPR makes is going to be multiplied by 2 times, and it wasn't 2 times, it was 100 times, because if we take a look at how the gaming community was praising CDPR before that, a company without any mistakes whatsoever, of course once you make a big one, that's going to escalate even further. But at the same time, internet forgets. Internet, it just has a little of a short-term memory issue, and that means that if you continue to update the game, if you continue to support the game, people will forgive, and that's something that we've noticed now with patch 1.5. And the patches before that served as a nice little, how would I say, foundation for the game, because you have, as I said, a lot of the back end of the code of the game that needed to be fixed for you to build anything on top of that, because if you keep piling stuff on top of the code which doesn't work properly, it's never going to work. So of course they had to fix this first, and that's something that we noticed a lot in patch 1.5, because now those changes are a lot more visible than they were before. Because once you do stuff in the back end, the regular user who doesn't really look at all of these things is not going to notice any difference on the outside. But now, because they added a better AI, they added dangerous drivers in the city, they added various NPCs who have pistols and weapons, they fixed AI on that front. Now you see those visible changes, and that's something that people have been saying, especially fixing all of those little things like water physics and animation, all of that, which I don't pay too much attention to, but it's always nice when they focus on things which are, let's say, not the most important ones, because it tells you that they really want to make this game that they wanted to make before, but obviously due to the limitations and problems in the development, they simply couldn't. And this was the biggest mistake of CDPR, is because they are mostly, a PC gaming kind of a company. They always were. They transitioned to consoles when The Witcher 3 came out, and of course with Cyberpunk. So I'm guessing that the first version they have made was the PC version of Cyberpunk, and once you start downgrading that to PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, their problems basically, start happening, because when you start doing it and you notice, for example, that PlayStation 4 has a hard drive and has obviously lower capabilities than a PC, or let's say the current gen consoles, that's where you run in all of those issues, and that's when the game starts falling apart. But that's okay, because this time they did a different thing. They took a lot of time to actually fix this, and so far, yeah, this is definitely looking better and better. Patch 1.5 added a lot of things that were kind of missing, from the game itself, in terms of just being able to do stuff in terms of immersion. Now, again, there is so much more to be done, so much more, but so far patch 1.5 was a definite success in my opinion. Because if you look at the future things that people want, and something that people were asking, is number one, I think the biggest thing is probably the police system and the wanted system, because obviously right now, they added a drone which can follow you first when you initiate wanted level, and then the police actually comes, which is a little better. But the problem comes where police start spawning around you, and it doesn't really give you any sort of immersion sense. It would be really cool if we had a police actually arrive in vehicles and then get out of those vehicles and actually shoot at you. Now, I'm not sure how difficult those police chases are to do. I'm sure there is a lot of coding involved to make that work, but if anything, if that's not possible, then at least, having cops arrive normally and not spawn around you would be a huge plus in my opinion. Second of all, that people have been asking, something I've already talked about, is obviously the Transmog System, which we have some hints right now in patch 1.5, where basically you can, if you enable it in the code, you can actually take off your glasses and head item, but people really want that to become an actual transmog system where you're going to change the entire outfit, or well, the look of the outfit, by maintaining the same stats, which is something that might arrive and is definitely something that could be cool to see, because there's a lot of like amazing outfits in this game, but sadly you cannot really, wear all of them because they're usually going to be with a lower armor and stats. Now you can also upgrade it, that's not a problem, especially if you go and also craft something, but that's never going to be an optimal thing, because sometimes upgrading simply will never cover and be strong as the item, for example, which is a legendary, which doesn't look good, but is going to have all of those like extra stats that you won't be able to achieve even with upgrading the same piece. And look, also like from the lore perspective, they could add so much more, cyberware for both arms and legs, which would look cool. Now I think a lot of people would really like to see like some physical change in that sense, like people really want to have like a half metal face and so on, which would kind of signal that cyberpunk. But of course, adding cyberware in its sense, it's not that easy, because it requires a lot of testing and for all of those animations to work with your hands, how you change them, all of that. So yes, that requires a lot more time, but at the same time it would be really cool to get more, because I personally think cyberware is not really utilized, at least when it comes to weapons, as much as it can be, especially for builds. And of course, New Game Plus. How can we forget that? It's definitely something that I want to see, and it's something which is coming. Like, we don't have to even like, guess that, but still, the sooner the better, because I think that's going to make the most people go back into the game, because you don't have a lot of people who want to start from level 1 again and again and again. So having an ability to have a New Game Plus already would be a huge plus for the community. And for the end, for the love of God, please, a mod support for Cyberpunk 2077. I made a video a long time ago where I said that Cyberpunk needs to embrace mods. Like the Cyberpunk modding community is extremely talented, and it would be such a waste to not have a proper tools which are going to just increase the longevity of the game. People are going to be able to add so many more things which are going to just make people go back to it, because when you have good mods on PC, you're going to replay again, because it's essentially going to be something different or a different experience. And again, I know that making that software and those modding tools is not really easy, because you actually have to make a full tool for it, but it would be welcome, and it would be really amazing, because that was one of the biggest wasted opportunities for The Witcher 3 in my opinion, where Witcher 3 could have been the next Skyrim if just you have proper modding tools, because the limitations of the tool that Witcher 3 has is not enough where you can just make like a whole new game in it, or just create mods which are going to be bigger and just broader in scope. And that's kind of the same thing with Cyberpunk, so hopefully that happens. And CDPR has always been welcome towards modders. They've been hiring a lot of modders, so of course, like, it just tells you this is needed, because this is what brings people back. And if you can actually take those mods, like the best mods, and put them on a console, that would be a big thing. That's why Bethesda did a very smart thing with their creation club and how they did their mods on consoles. That's why Bethesda, when it comes to mods, is one of the smartest companies out there, because their games are going to be played years into the future, just because people have those mods they can return to and play something new and experience something new, without essentially having developers release stuff constantly, which is never going to happen. And look, this is everything for today. So yeah, patch 1.5 is definitely good. The redemption arc is starting now. This is also great for devs because they will get more motivation to work, especially because we have positivity in the community. I'm sure that developers, are much more relaxed when they work and they can, release more stuff. So hopefully that happens. We shall see. So far it's good. The redemption arc, in my opinion, has started, but this is just the first step. And we'll see what happens next, and we'll see what they do, and of course I will report on it once something happens. Don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button for more. Tell me down below, what do you think about all of this, and don't forget to check us out on Twitter and Discord, where we can continue this discussion, because we talk a lot about Cyberpunk and other games there. Again, stay classy everyone. Huge thanks to my current Patreon supporters, and I will see you in the next video later today. Bye bye.